Welcome, Sarah, to the Naked Eye podcast. It's really nice to have you here, and I'm excited to get to know you a little bit more today and pick your brain on some of these really interesting topics surrounding our diet, our health, our lifestyle, these different connections with overall health, and also a little bit about vision as well. We got a little preview of your intro from me just a moment ago, but you want to take a moment to introduce yourself in your own words and let us know a
Sure.
bit about who you are.
Thanks so much for having me, Nathan. I'm excited to be here, and vision is just one more part of our health. We're all connected. Our whole system's connected. But to back up, I was a good student, went to Stanford University, thought I was going to go into finance and have a perfect little family and everything was just going to be great, right? And that didn't happen. My health started failing me. Dietary issues and that sort of thing early on, but it really wasn't until I started having kids and the pregnancies took it out of me and really took me down. And so after baby number 3, I went to the doctor, had tubes up me, down me, around me, and me knowing there were a lot more issues going on, they just said, "Oh, you've got IBS." And I thought, "Oh, well, I'm not going to settle with that one." So I started looking into natural solutions and worked with a natural practitioner who put me onto a SKIO machine, which scans your body for 10,000 items. It goes from your minerals to your vitamins to your organs, your liver, your gallbladder, your stomach, your spleen, and can even get into your emotions and that sort of thing. And it was like peeling an onion. I did have digestive issues. I was loaded with heavy metals like lead, mercury, and aluminum. My digestion was halted. There was no digestion whatsoever. Adult acne, hormonal issues with my cycle, just fatigue. I was a go-getter and mentally I was ready to take on the world, but physically I just wasn't able to. I had PCOS, which is something that's typical for someone that's overweight and can cause fertility issues. And so doctors really never addressed that with me because I was not overweight. And it was something where my hormones were out of balance, but no one really addressed why or what was going on. Looking back on it, it is definitely related to insulin resistance. So keep that in mind. But going forward, it was just, trying to peel the onion and correct each issue as it came along. So, which I did. And I was introduced to different supplements along the way that were all natural. And one being my accelerated silver, which I believe you have tried. But at the time, I didn't really realize the strength of it and what it was doing. And when my son who is my oldest, I've got 3 kids, 12, 14, and 16. And my son is now 16, but he was 9 years old when we found leukemia on the scan. And so that was obviously a big shock and very difficult to go through. Thought I was feeding him well and doing all the right things. We started giving him the silver throughout the day, and his energy started coming back. Cleaned up his diet a little more, but at the time I thought I was doing all the right things. Mm-hmm. And gave him, boosted his immunity with some other supplements as well, but mainly it was the silver. And within a year, his blood went from not only having no more cancer cells, but the anemia that he had was gone. The other nutritional deficiencies like his vitamin B and iron levels came up. His blood was beautiful, and it was like tears of joy. The first appointment was tears of just distraught and fright and fear. And then the second one was just joy, complete joy. And he was so cute. He looked at me like, "Mom, I knew you were going to fix me. So what's the issue?" So then I really understood the power of the silver. And at that time we were taking it internally. And what's great about that is it does not, there's no negative side effects. So kids can take it. If they overdose, well, you can't overdose. So if they drink the whole bottle, there's no issues whatsoever.
Mm.
Then I had issues with my second child, my daughter, and with anemia, allergies, and asthma. And so that was another big issue we had to face and overcome. And we used the silver, and we used some of the other supplements that I had at my fingertips at the time. And then my youngest daughter, she really was my healthiest, but she did have issues with learning and comprehension with her reading, and also some migraine headaches. So I had a whole bunch of different sets of issues that I was trying to address. And with that, I was forced to learn how to address all these different issues, which I truly believe was my calling. After going through what I've gone through, I was not expecting to create a business. I wasn't expecting to go back to work. And I just really felt like my kids were examples of how you can take some serious, serious health issues and bring them back to amazing, vibrant individuals. They're doing so well. My son is on the way to a training camp for nationals for rowing. He has not been sick with a common cold since he was 9 years old. So not only is the health issues of his leukemia gone, but everything else is gone as well. Super strong, great athlete. My daughter's asthma and allergies are all gone. And when they do come up, instead of something happening or staying with her for 4 to 6 weeks, it's more of like an afternoon, and we'll get through it, and it's taken care of. And my other daughter, Kiana, she, with her reading issues, she was not doing well, very at grade level or maybe lower in her second and third year in elementary school. And now she's in 6th grade, and she's reading at above a 10th to 11th grade reading level. So it just skyrocketed. And some of that was due to anxiety, and some of it was due to, was she dyslexic? Was her vision doing something with the words? Her eyes would go blurry, but was it blurry just because of anxiety, or what was going on with her eyesight at that point? And now everything is just awesome. I shouldn't say that. There's always going to be issues, but I can tell you that through all of this, not just me, but my kids now come across challenges, whether it's health or in school or in sport, and they're not feeling defeated. They know they can overcome it because they've overcome other things. So the anxiety is reduced, and their go-get-'em attitude is there. So that's nice. And we've used tools through supplementation, and they know what to take supplement-wise, but they also know what to eat right, and what diet has to do with all of their bodily functions and their mind. And that's been a great lesson so far.
Yeah.
So that's where I am now. And, it's just with each lesson, you talk about, I know I've heard you talk about anxiety, and it related to vision, and how you being out in nature really has helped your vision and going in the right direction. Those are things that we have incorporated and really tried to make an important aspect into our family life.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's so important to find that balance of indoor time and outdoor time, and screen time and nature time. And even just getting that sunshine is so important for eye development and being able to handle bright lights and being outside and sunlight and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's really, really incredible stories, personally with yourself and with your family, to kind of create this kind of shift in direction, and this uncovering this new kind of purpose or mission for you. So that's really, really cool to kind of see something like that sort of unfold, and kind of not just be like, oh, that was neat, but actually taking action on it and sharing it with others as well. That's really, really inspiring.
That's what I'm trying to do. And I didn't even get into in the last couple of years. Here I was in 2015, I was trucking along and doing better and better and feeling pretty good. And everyone's kind of in a stable position. And I was in a car accident with my daughter, Michaela, and my head hit the steering wheel. And at first I thought my biggest worry was going to be the gash in my eye that I had. But after the 2 to 3 weeks, the memory loss, the anxiety, the depression, all of those things started setting in, and my vision was getting blurry. And was it getting blurry because I was anxious because of the memory loss? It was like a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So I had all these things going on together. And at that time, I was introduced to the ketogenic diet and an exogenous keto supplement. And that is known for weight loss for a lot of people, but I did not need to lose weight. But I was kept hearing about, you know, the mental clarity and the calming the brain and the reduced inflammation throughout the brain and the body. And I thought, well, I'm going to try this. Oh my goodness. Within just weeks, my brain was back. The anxiety was gone. The memory loss was not around anymore. I started functioning actually at a higher level mentally than I had in college and in my younger years. And my eyesight and the clarity, it wasn't even just my eyesight, but my hearing was better, my eyesight was better. And looking back on it, there's just a reduction of inflammation throughout the whole body. And obviously, if there's inflammation in your eyes, you're going to have blurred vision. And I've had many clients who are in their 40s and they're starting to wear reading glasses, and they say, well, I don't need my glasses anymore because it's reducing the inflammation in their eyes. And that's just one benefit. But so I started putting together groups of protocols of supplements for people to heal their whole body. And if you look, I have a keto detox bundle, for instance. It's 6 supplements, and it includes the accelerated silver that we talked about a little bit. And what that is doing is it's cleaning out all of the bad junk in your body, kills viruses, bacteria, fungus, parasites, candida. And it's also reducing inflammation throughout the body. A side note, it has been used for pink eye and eye infections. So, you know, most of the time those are caused by bacteria or viral infections, and it can help kill that right away. I've had people call me up and say, can I put it in my eyes? Can I put it in my ears? And, you know, I legally am not allowed to tell them to do so, but I do it myself. And it has been shown throughout history, if you just Google eye infections and silver, you'll see that it's been used for thousands of years for that reason. But to get back to the bundle that I was telling you about, the silver helps also reduce inflammation throughout the body. So you're doing that as well. You're increasing cellular turnover, which is, you know, anti-aging in essence.
Yes.
And then what's really important for eyesight and chronic inflammation throughout the body, and whether it's showing up as acne on your skin and gut inflammation on me, or back pain or arthritis, or, you know, it shows up in different people in different ways. You want to heal the gut, healing your leaky gut. And so I have a couple supplements in there that help heal the gut lining, which is where your immune system is and where autoimmune diseases stem from. And anything that is going wrong in the body, any chronic disease, is typically linked back to the gut. And also anxiety and depression, you know, that's where your serotonin and dopamine are created or are made in the GABA. So you're really wanting to heal that gut in order to heal the rest of your body. And that includes your eyes. So you're reducing the inflammation systemically, you're only going to benefit in your eyes as well. And this bundle also includes a keto supplement that puts you into ketosis, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you essentially are within ketosis within 30 minutes. Without a supplement, you probably would take 2 weeks to achieve ketosis.
Oh, wow.
What that means is essentially your body's burning fat for fuel instead of carbs. So if you're burning carbs for fuel, your body's saying, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. It's been 2 hours since I ate. I'm hangry. My eyes are going blurry. My head is pounding, and you need to get that fuel right away. Well, when you are and what also that's doing is raising your insulin resistance, because you're constantly releasing insulin through your body throughout constantly eating, if that makes sense. So if I'm eating 6 meals a day, I'm releasing insulin 6 times a day.
Right.
If I'm doing that, I'm telling my body to store fat, to use the carbs that I just ate real quick, and then my body thinks it's starving again. So it's very inefficient. When you are in ketosis and you're burning fat for fuel, your body's switched into this whole new fuel system where it says, oh my gosh, I've got thousands and thousands of calories of fat on my body. I don't need to eat. And when you don't eat, I don't know if you've experienced this when you're fasting or you haven't eaten in a while and you're in this low level of ketosis, your brain is on fire because the inflammation is down. Your body is going through this healing period of autophagy is what it's called. It's cleaning out the bad cells and really focusing on mental clarity and physical energy. If you think about our ancestors, if they haven't eaten in 2 to 3 days, they need every muscle fiber, they need every bit of mental focus to go after that kill to eat. So if they're burning away their muscle tissue and they're getting more lethargic after they haven't eaten, that's not going to work well, and they're going to die off, and that's not the way it works. So what this is doing is it's actually ramping up your metabolism, reducing the inflammation throughout your body, helping everything kind of work to its top way. And we were off the record, we were talking about Joe Rogan. He's one that prescribes to this, and I'm sure you'll hear him say that he's fasting as he's doing his podcast because he's thinking his best. He's more clear in mental and physical energy, and it also helps reduce anxiety and depression, and it's just systemically a very healing, strong position it puts you in. So when most people come to me and say, well, I've got this issue or I've got that issue, I say, this is the protocol I would recommend to get your body into that healing state, clean out all the bad stuff, reduce all the inflammation, increase your energy. And then if you still have issues, then we'll go after it with something else.
Yeah.
So that's where I started putting together more of a protocol. And then also I went back to school in the meantime to really sharpen my tool shed and make sure I knew what I was talking about. But I had done so much self-teaching and really knew 95% of what I was being taught in school. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And through the process, I have really come across some solutions just for eye health. Number one, the silver, but I also have something called accelerated gold. And gold has been known to relieve stress and anxiety and depression for thousands of years and increase energy, mental and physically, reduce arthritic pain, increase motor skills, ADHD, all without the side effects. But with vision, it's also been known to increase the electrical charges and the neurons that fire in the brain. and
Mm.
it enhances the normal communication that takes place between the nerve cells. So you are, between the silver and the gold, you are increasing that communication and cleaning things up. And people, usually take the silver to make sure they don't get the cold or the flu, but
Mhm.
it's doing so much more than that. And same with the gold. They're both amazing for increasing the nerve function of the body.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, one thing that my vision teacher really hammered into my brain was that all vision problems are nervous problems. It all
Yeah,
goes back to the nervous system. And I mean, what vision is just, yeah, the firing of these synapses and the traveling of the light photons being transducted into chemical signals that get sent through the optic nerves, which are some of the biggest nerves in the body. And
exactly.
that's really cool to hear that it's really working with the brain and the neurons, and also the detoxifying properties, because like a lot of these vision issues are from, accumulation of waste products, or, macular degeneration, for example, is the accumulation of drusen in, behind the retina, and the eye can't clean it up fast enough, and so it might be really neat to have something in there that's sort of accelerating,
Yep.
your the products are called accelerated health products. So it's accelerating the body's ability to clean these things up and purify, and actually work with the neurological networks as well, with the firing and all that stuff. That's really neat.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I came across, it was actually one of it was the second supplement that I really fell in love with. And it just hit me that this is, your listeners will be very interested to know, is my liquid biocell collagen. And
Mm.
collagen is known for, oh, let's get rid of my wrinkles and help with my hair, and right? But people don't know that your eye tissue is what, 80% collagen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm 43 years old. I've got two sisters, one year younger and one a little older. I'm the only one that doesn't wear glasses. So I don't know. I mean, they definitely are not eating and what I'm eating and doing what I'm doing. Is that just my luck or what? And I'll leave that to you.
Yeah.
But both of them have been wearing glasses for quite a while, so it's not just recent.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, my older brother as well. He always had decent eyesight, but he's wearing glasses as well. And yeah, he has a couple more years on me, so we'll see how I do in the next couple of years. But I have no signs of issues. I do get blurry eyed when I know my adrenals are out, or I've burned myself to the ground, or I haven't slept well. And it's just back to what I said in the very beginning, is your body. It's not just, you don't just treat eyesight. You don't just treat a hearing problem. You treat the whole system. And that is what I've come back to, whether you're talking about kids and ADHD, or, the grandma who has diabetes, or, you know, pain, arthritic pain. All these things come from the gut and the immune system, and reducing inflammation throughout the body and restoring the proper energy in the adrenals. I just did a big a blog on adrenal burnout and all the symptoms there. And I can tell you, as you don't need me to tell you, is when I'm staring at my computer too long, my eyes go blurry and it's time to be done. But it's real interesting that through diet and reducing the carbs, reducing the sugar, and following a more ketogenic diet lifestyle, and then adding in these supplements, my ability to work longer hours and to have that physical and mental energy last longer, and just to feel calm, and feel like my problems are almost 10 feet away from me instead of right in my face.
Yeah.
And and there was one other supplement I wanted to just mention, because most people don't realize that we are all low in, it's not in our food supply, and that's iodine. Iodine, 95% of Americans are deficient in iodine. It is not in our soils anymore. and getting it in the salt is actually a toxic kind of iodine. So you don't even want to have table salt, let alone count on that for your iodine. 52 million people in the United States have Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, and this is including kids. And when we were just talking about physical and mental energy and how our whole body and brain work together, your mitochondria, so the iodine activates your mitochondria, which is your life force, which is your chi, right? So your chi is the energy going through your whole body, mind, and body. Yeah. And you're really dependent on that iodine to make everything work better. The two things you need the most as a mineral are oxygen and iodine. And what's funny is we call my silver liquid oxygen because it actually helps oxygenate the cells. But then you've got the iodine. And the iodine that I carry is radiation free. You have to be very careful with some iodines out there. They're toxic. But not only is it radiation free, but it's scalar charged with some frequencies that actually protect you from radiation that we are being bombarded with, from the EMFs, from the smartphones, from flying, from smart meters, from the computer I'm staring at right now. All these things we're being bombarded, and this is even before 5G really comes on board.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an issue. So through this iodine, which I call acceleridine, you are giving yourself a good level of protection, which is only going to help your thyroid, which will only help your third eye, your pineal gland, and help with eyesight and all the other functions of your body.
Yeah, totally. And you and I talked a little bit about that previously, about my experience with working with Hashimoto's and low thyroid, and really looking at my iodine levels. And I've got some nori in the cabinet here. I've just been eating sheets of seaweed, just to get, some natural sources. But that sounds really, really neat to have just that extra layer of protection, not only to be getting the benefits, but also to be avoiding some of the negative things that we're just encountering as we walk around out in the world and everything.
Yeah.
So, and I do want to just kind of explain the silver a little bit more, because maybe not everyone's even heard of silver, right, or colloidal silver, or, but real quick, I just want to touch on a couple things you said, like in regards to your family wearing glasses, and you sometimes noticing your body sends you a signal that, oh, maybe I'm not seeing as well now as I was before. The difference between what you're doing and they're doing is maybe they would just, oh, I guess I'll just put glasses on.
Right.
Or maybe not make that connection of, oh, maybe there's something that I'm doing wrong right now functionally, or maybe I've just hit my limit for screen time for now. And so there's two ways of thinking about vision, either like static or fluid. And so the glasses route is more of the static way of thinking of it, is, oh, my vision's blurry and that's just the way it is, and I have to wear these glasses and they're going to fix my eyes to a certain prescription, and that's how I'll see all the time. But the way you described it was much more of a fluid thing, like the vision changes. And you brought up the connection of anxiety and that kind of that downward spiral of like, some of the approaches you've been taking have been helping you stay more calm and not feel like that the blur is just like attacking you. It's like it's at a distance more. And so it's like, well, I'm noticing it right now. I'm not going to panic about it. Right. I know that maybe I'm having some adrenal fatigue, or maybe, maybe there's all these different little options that I could explore to bring that clarity back.
Right.
And I just wish more people would do that, because so many times the vision dips down and we run to the eye doctor or we get glasses, and then that kind of solidifies that bad habit or the strain or that emotional connection there, as opposed to giving the body or the mind some more time to sort it out naturally,
right,
like avoid the need to even get the glasses at all in the first place.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have come to me saying, I need to lose 20 pounds. Let's do this. I'll get on your program. And they'll say, well, I've only lost 3 pounds. And I'll say, well, have you noticed anything different? How's your energy? How do you feel mentally? And they'll go, God, well, I feel really good. And you know, what's weird is I'm not wearing my glasses, and, and it's kind of crazy. And me being someone that doesn't wear glasses, that would not be my first thought, like it would be for you.
Right. Yeah.
And when they come back and they're shocked, and they get all of these benefits and it truly does show that the whole body is a system that works together. Nerve endings are working, and stress is the killer for all of it. If you're stressed and your adrenals are burnt out, nothing's going to work mentally, physically, your hearing, your eyesight, your nerve, you're not going to be able to handle the screaming baby in the restaurant. So it truly is showing that everything's connected and it is fluid. And I can have an amazing day of feeling just so sharp, so on it, physically, mentally, everything. And then, if I put myself into the ground with too much work or whatever I'm doing, just feel awful. And, gosh, do I need glasses? Do I need a hearing aid? Do I, and it's funny how all these things start happening. Sight hasn't been my issue, but hearing has. My mom has very bad hearing. So of course, in the back of my mind, I think, gosh, am I going to go deaf early? And we will watch TV, and my husband has very, very good eyesight, very good hearing. And I was going through this period where I thought, oh my gosh, I'm losing my hearing. And I kept telling myself that. So then I started focusing on it in a positive way and seeing what I could do to change that. And I got to tell you, and I didn't even go to a doctor or anyone. I just kind of did things on my own, and my hearing's better. And I'm actually shocked at myself, because in my mind, you can fix all these other things, but eyesight and hearing, those things, they go away and that's it. Right. But no, that's not the case.
I know. And that's such an interesting, that's such a pervasive belief, across all cultures too, not all cultures, but like for the most part, that people accept the fact that, my bone can heal, or my, the other parts of my body can regenerate and heal, but the eyes and the ears, they're off limits. There's nothing I can do. And so, and sometimes it really takes having a personal experience with those things actually being more fluid to really be more on board with it, after coming from the place of just thinking that it's totally out of your hands. So yeah, the vision and the hearing is, they're pretty linked, all the senses, they're so intermingled. And, a lot of times when I'm instructing people on how to visualize and how to improve their inner vision and their insight, either when their eyes are closed or while they're doing the palming practice, I usually use the sense of hearing to facilitate that. If you can't picture an ocean, maybe you can imagine the sound of a wave or a seagull, or, you can get your other senses involved to turn on that inner vision. Or vice versa. It works in all the different ways.
I loved what I heard you say about when your vision's blurred, that some people weren't able to see their future, the vision of their future, and that being connected. And that is something that I found in my practice with people where, that gut feeling, quote unquote, there's a reason they call it that gut feeling. Or if your stomach's tied in knots, physically they can be tied in knots, but it's because of anxiety or anxiousness. And that's something that my youngest has had issues with. Right. And it's something that I've used to have issues with. And I now know that I actually physically need to massage my stomach to release the knots, which then release the anxiety, or vice versa, and how they're so connected. And the clarity of vision and being able to see your future or your path or what you want your journey to be, how that can help improve your eyesight. It makes perfect sense. And Same with like, your liver is where you store your anger and your frustration. So if you're really angry, you're going to have liver issues. Maybe it's pain, or maybe it's just building up liver stones, or what have you. But the physical mind connection, the body mind connection is so strong. And that's where I just love what you're doing. And it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, the liver, according to the Chinese tradition, Chinese medicine, is the kind of the number one organ associated with the eye organs. So I've heard of a lot of people like actually going through certain like liver detoxes, or detox programs as a way to clear their eyesight, to purify the liver and the kidneys and everything.
Yep.
So it's neat that you're able to massage your stomach as a way to reduce the anxiety. Maybe a block for people with the eyes or even with the ears is you can't get in there and massage it, or like physically manipulate it. It's all in the skull.
Right.
Maybe that's part of the reason why people feel more disconnected from it, or like there's nothing I can do because I can't physically reach it or touch it or something like that.
Two things I was going to say with the liver cleanse. I do have a liver flush on my website, and
Nice.
It's really easy. You're not starving. You're not on a liquid diet. You take a few pills for 2 weeks, and then the last day you do an olive oil citrus fruit drink that literally flushes out the gallstones, and you'll see hundreds of them in the toilet the next day. But what you notice when people do this is the whites of their eyes are so bright the next day. And during that 2 weeks of prepping for the actual flush, you can experience some old emotions, some old angers that can come out. But once you get the flush, it's like this whole relaxation, and you feel just great.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how you said that it is connected with the eyes, because, the clarity in someone's eyes, and, watching people on TV, our family will sit there and watch newscasters or whoever and see the yellowness in their eyes, or the puffiness in their eyes. And the eyes are the windows to the body. And, we'll point out and say, oh, he needs a kidney flush or a liver flush. And, and it's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just a saying like, he's got a sparkle in his eye. It's like it literally, your eyes can, if they're in a healthy state, I mean, they glimmer, they glisten, they look alive and full of energy and life. And if there's all that strain and tension or these other connections in the rest of the body, it's that they're dull, they look kind of lifeless, they're staring. So it's amazing the transformation that can happen there.
Yeah.
But you just, brought up your kids again. And one thing you said a little bit earlier was before you educated yourself about a lot of this stuff, you said you felt like you were doing it right. You felt like you were, feeding your kids good foods and things, but then maybe you've made some changes. So I was just curious if you had some examples of like things that you thought were the right thing, but then you realized, oh, maybe that's not actually the best thing to be doing.
Right. Well, I'm an open book. So when my son was first born, the doctor said he's underweight. He's a failure to thrive. Now, mind you, my husband's tall and thin. My dad was very tall and thin when he was younger. And it's, I'm not a big person. So for the pediatrician to scare me, I was feeding my son microwavable corn dogs. So that's where I come from. So I did everything wrong, everything. I was microwaving breast milk. I was doing everything wrong. So if anyone's out there listening to this saying, well, I could never do what she's doing or change the diet. I mean, literally, I was that mom that you looked at and you cringed because you were doing that. Now, by the time he was 9 years old and we had the scare, I was pretty much gluten-free. And eating lots of vegetables and organic meats for the most part. But now I'm, I take it to another level just because that's what my kids are used to now, and they love it. They feel a difference. They're all on a ketogenic, low carb diet. You know, they'll eat more carbs than I will because they're growing kids.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're pretty good about their diet, and they feel the difference. I mean, they feel the difference whether it's in school or in sports. But for instance, now we eat a lot of vegetables, organic, beef, lamb, wild salmon. I roast vegetables every single night, have a salad of some sort, lots of avocados, lots of coconut oil, eggs, organic eggs in the morning. And on my website, I actually have a dietary guidelines list of foods to focus on that makes it really easy. And when people are trying to make dietary changes, I don't say get complicated with recipes. Do it easy. Make it easy. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Is that the autoimmune guide?
So there's two. There's the keto dietary guidelines, which is a little more generous with some options. And then there's the autoimmune dietary guidelines, which makes it a little more strict because some people just can't handle things like lectins. And lectins are in vegetables like the nightshade vegetables, potatoes, and a lot of beans and lentils and even quinoa. So you're thinking you're eating these healthy foods and they've got lectins in them, which your body essentially sees as poisons or toxins. So I personally follow the autoimmune diet. And I feel so much better. And when I have something that's off of it, I can tell. I just feel a little more inflamed, a little more bloated, and a lot less energy. My kids, they're more on the more generous type of guideline list. And if you look at the two of them, you'll see the difference. But they do give you good options for what to focus on. And that's what I also try to teach people is focus on what you are allowed to eat and not what you can't. And you crowd out the bad stuff. Nowadays, keto has become so popular that there are, I mean, you go to thrivemarket.com, for instance, and they have a whole section that you just press keto and it'll bring up all the keto foods or the keto snacks. Or you press organic and there's a whole section for organic, gluten-free. I've got clients that are just gluten-free but not keto. I've got vegans and vegetarians and all types of people on different diets, but they still can find a good staple amount of foods on those two lists, which is nice.
Yeah.
So it's not overwhelming. It doesn't have to be, and it can be something that you don't have to do overnight. You can do it gradually. You have to remember, I was feeding my son just a few years ago, not a few years ago, 10 years ago, the corn dogs. So it's a process. It's, and unfortunately our food supply now is just so poor that you can feel like you're swimming upstream. But then the good news is that so many people are suffering in one way or another. You're not alone out there. There's so many people that are on the same page trying to do the same thing and eat the right way. But eating, you know, our diets are pretty much, I'd say 60% fat. And I'd say about 30% protein and the rest green vegetables. And that's where the carbs come in. But it's not difficult to do. You feel so much better. The cravings for sugar go away. The cravings for carbs go away. And the mental clarity. Oh, I didn't even mention your hormonal balance. For men, human growth hormone and testosterone increase. And for women, cycles come back. Cycles get more regulated. I had a client that was 41, gave up on trying to get pregnant because she couldn't. And within 2 months of starting my program, she was pregnant. Surprise, surprise. So, you know, that was a blessing in disguise, but it's not overwhelming, and you just feel so much better that you actually stop missing all the carbs and the sugar.
Yeah. You know, it reminds me of, you know, when I was going through my yoga teacher training in Yogaville, we were talking about the yogic diet, and just changing our eating habits and patterns, and they really just emphasized how replacing bad habits works. It doesn't really work to just focus on what you can't do or what you can't eat or what you need to stop doing or let go of. Instead, you just need to start focusing on what you want to do or what you can eat or what, so it's, instead of the negative, you're thinking about that positive. And then without any effort, all the good stuff, just like you said, crowds out the bad stuff, and there's just no room for it anymore. And then you've made that transformation. And it is pretty wild to think about the revolution that's happened in just the health food and organic food, and awareness about gluten sensitivity and keto now getting really big. And like, it's just interesting to think about, 10, 15, 20 years ago, how little access we may have had to healthy foods at grocery stores. And I mean, it's just really taken over, and it's really, really amazing to see that happen. There's still a lot of issues in the food system and agricultural processing techniques and things, but yeah, it's nice to kind of focus on how far the industry has come, and how much easier it is to work with our diet these days than maybe not too long ago, at least in America. And I was the same way. I mean, pretty much all up through high school, my diet was pretty atrocious. I used to drink several cans of Coca-Cola every day. Lots of processed food, junk food, a lot of candy. I was like really into candy. And, I wonder why I have all these cavities, so, when I left home and didn't have a fridge full of, all the sugary things I could ever want, up in Pennsylvania, the main local treat was the tasty cakes, So if anybody's up in that area, you probably know what I'm talking about. But when I moved down here to North Carolina in college, it was really the first time I really started, buying my own food and groceries and kind of building up my own little cabinet and pantry and stuff. And I switched to water. I just stopped drinking sodas, and that in and of itself was just massive.
I was going to say, did that help your eyesight just with that change?
Oh, I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge change for me, going through a case of Coke in, a couple days to just like nothing. Started experimenting with different diets, vegetarian, but I never really went just head over heels into any one particular thing. I kind of tried lots of different things out just to kind of experiment, see how my body and mind was reacting and things.
Yeah.
And, it's still an ongoing experiment,
Absolutely.
Just more I learn about it, and, talking with you today and, exploring your website, seeing different things. And so I do, like I hinted at earlier, I would like to just spend a little bit of time on the silver and gold a little bit more.
For sure.
Because like I told you over the phone a little while ago, the way I was introduced to colloidal silver was when I was getting ready to do some backpacking in Central America, and a little research I was doing was saying like, oh, if you don't want to get sick from drinking water or getting giardia or some, stomach bug, you should bring some colloidal silver with you, and you can put that in the water, and it like kills parasites and bacteria and stuff. And so I brought a little bottle down there with me and was fine the whole time. But since I've met you and I've been looking more into it again, like you said, that's just one purpose of it. And so it's really neat to learn about these other things about it. So do you want to just take a little time just to kind of speak on the silver and the gold for somebody who maybe has never heard of it before, or maybe has a certain understanding of it?
Yeah, so colloidal silver has been around for thousands of years, and I recommend going on my blog and reading the history of it. It's amazing. Hippocrates even mentions it, and it's in the ancient times. They have recordings of using silver, and but my silver is not colloidal silver. It's an ultrafine silver hydrosol, and what that means is that essentially, if you were to take colloidal silver, that's like the silver particles are like boulders. So you drink that, and how does that get into the cells versus something like a piece of fine grain of sand? So you have to think about that. But then also the silver and gold are made with distilled water, which is a much higher quality water than the reverse osmosis water that most silvers are using. And my silver has this ability to bypass the gut. So if you think about when you get bit in the, bit by a spider, you go to the doctor, they're going to give you an IV of antibiotics. They're not going to give you a pill, right? And that's because they want to get the antibiotics to the source of the infection. Otherwise, you're going to lose an arm or a leg. Well, it's the same with the silver. And in most dietary supplements, they have a hard time getting through past the gut and the acidity in the gut. My silver is able to go through the gut and has a systemic and spreads systemically throughout the body. Same with the gold, and even into the brain. So not only is it going throughout the body, it's killing viruses, bacteria, fungus, parasites, candida, or that is what silver is known to do. I have to be careful with how I say all of this, but I recommend anyone Google the benefits of colloidal silver, read about what it's been used for, and then just know that accelerated silver and gold they're much more efficient at doing what silver is known to do. My silver is also now is treated with what's called applied vibrational frequency. And that means frequencies can be positive and or negative, like the EMFs are a negative type of frequency. Water holds frequencies. So we can instill and treat the silver water and the gold water with healing frequencies that make the supplement work more efficiently and better. So it's going after those bugs that are not, that we want to kill. And everyone has their own frequency. You have a frequency, I have a frequency, plants have their frequencies. So the idea of frequency type treatments in general is to neutralize the different frequencies that you do not want there. And when you take in the silver or gold, it will treat those, it will neutralize those negative frequencies, but without doing any damage to any human tissue. So the safetiness of the supplements is amazing. You could have a baby drink the whole bottle and it would be fine. There would be no buildup or residue of the silver or the gold in the body. And that's because our product has very little silver or gold in there. But what happens is the distilled water has memorized the signature of the silver or gold. So back to like some of the colloidal silvers or silver that people are making on their own, they are putting a lot of the actual silver or gold in the supplement, and you're ingesting it, and it can build up over time.
Okay.
So there is a difference with the safety issues. Mm-hmm. So that would be the biggest difference. And, you know, I always say when someone new buys a bottle of silver, not only do they come back for more, but they bring 4 or 5 friends with them, and it just sells itself. It's, you know, from young to old, from the guy that's going to Taco Bell every day to the elite athlete that wants, you know, to boost their performance. It's a supplement that's good for everyone. It should be in every first aid cabinet. It can be used for so many things. And the nice thing is you don't need to know if you're fighting a bacteria or a virus. You know, you go to the doctor and you say, well, I need to know if I'm going to be put on antibiotics because it's either a bacteria or a virus. You don't need to go to the doctor. You just take your silver, and I recommend taking it every 90 minutes if you are sick or if you feel something coming on. The regular dosage, you know, if you're taking it 2 to 3 times a day, you're probably not going to get sick, but you might not feel any boost in energy. If you take it more like 4 to 7 times a day, you'll start seeing some anti-aging effects and some more energy.
Yeah, I
So,
noticed that on the bottle there. Yeah, I was saying take about, what is it, like 2 teaspoons, about 10 milliliters,
yeah.
like you said, like 4 to 7 times throughout the day.
Yep, and you don't need to measure. The 2 teaspoons is recommended, but I just sip it out of the bottle, and there's no.
Okay. Yeah, I've been just kind of lugging it into my water glass and just drinking it like that.
So the one thing is you don't want to dilute it, and you
Okay.
want to leave it in your mouth for at least a minute and then swallow. Because
Okay.
that you will have a much higher absorption that way.
Very good to know. I will try that. And is that because maybe, is that something to do with the frequency component of if you mix it in with something else, it kind of,
It will just dilute the efficacy of the supplement.
mhm.
So
Yeah, the frequency thing definitely reminds me of like Masaru Emoto's work of the crystals, freezing the water crystals with the different words, or
hmm
putting positive, like love versus hate, and freezing it and seeing how the different crystals form. Is
yeah,
that kind of similar to uh,
yeah,
what you're doing?
yeah, yeah. I have my practitioner from a while ago has a way of using a machine to put frequencies into different supplements. So what I'll have him do is actually take my silver bottle and put certain frequencies in it that are particular for me. So what we do with the silver and the gold for everybody is more general healing, but you can actually be specific for, say I wanted to improve my eyesight, or say I wanted to calm me down, or I had anxiety and really wanted to go after that, or whatever it is. You can do that with those supplements.
Oh, that's really cool.
And then the gold, I mean, people report amazing mental acuity and anxiety, depression, benefits for sleeping. It's been great. I've also had autistic children really, really like the gold and feel like it just calms their brain down.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's been the best way to know exactly what the silver does is to Google. Google's amazing at giving you all the information I'm not really allowed to talk about. But it is, like I said, it is the most affordable supplement that can do the most amount of things. And I have, people approach me saying, can I take silver for this? Can I take silver for that? And 99% of the time, the answer is yes. Yeah. And did I cover your questions on the silver?
Yeah, yeah. I just could imagine. I was thinking back, the first time I was kind of introduced to it, or even when I like saw it at the co-op or the health food store, I was just like, what is that? Like, I didn't know you could drink silver, like, so it might be just sort of maybe a new concept for some people. So that
You
helps.
do need to be careful, because if you go on Amazon, there's so many silvers out there now. And I
Yeah.
believe a lot of them are just people making their own silver and they don't really know what they're doing. It's really hard to find a reputable company that is putting out a good product.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely, encourage people to check out your website over at acceleratedhealthproducts.com, and I'll be adding links in the show notes, and to do some research, check out some of this stuff. And you've got a great blog over there too, with articles and videos of you explaining more deeply into the topics that we've kind of scratched the surface of today.
Yeah. And if anyone has any questions, I'm very available. You can email me at sarah@acceleratedhealthproducts.com. And I'd love to offer your listeners a 15% coupon, Naked Eye Podcast 15. And would love for them to try anything that we've talked about and see how I can help.
Cool. Awesome. That really appreciate that. It's really, really, really kind of you. And yeah, just to kind of recap, some of the things you mentioned that you've found to be very beneficial for eyes in particular, would definitely be the silver and the gold. And then I think the other two you mentioned were the iodine and the collagen.
in the collagen, but the keto detox bundle would be something to look into, because
Yeah.
with insulin resistance, we touched on this for a moment, but when you are insulin resistant and you've been eating a high carb, low fat diet for most of your life, and even if you think you're eating the right diet, which is what I was doing, as you become more and more insulin resistant, your body's inflamed. And with that inflammation, you are going to have an issue with an inflamed optic nerve, right? So the keto detox bundle really reduces the inflammation throughout the body quickly, gets you kind of in that ketosis within 30 minutes, gives you those other supplements to really support the gut healing process. And it includes the silver in there. So you've got the silver, you can get the iodine added into it, and it really just gives you that good base protocol to start healing the body. And my guess is most people their vision will improve.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to lean more into sort of the keto way and see what kind of changes I can feel from that. And it has been a while since I used to do fasting every once in a while. It's been a little while since I've given the digestive system a little reset.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, it's not just the physical stuff. For me, the fasting was just so enlightening in terms of just cleansing my mind and really reevaluating my relationship to food and my eating patterns and habits. And
Yeah.
yeah, it can be a pretty profound experience.
For sure. If you think about it, your third eye is your pineal gland. And in your pineal gland is where fluoride can calcify. So how are you able to be enlightened or be closer to or reach your higher self when you've got toxins in there? One thing that helps with that is the iodine. It clears that out. So that is another way of, as you're taking your iodine and you are fasting, you are going to reach a higher self or a higher level frequency, and the clarity is just going to be that much more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I love exploring that connection, especially with, my yoga background with the whole third eye, not only in terms of the actual endocrine glands in the brain, but also just the more subtle energy components of it. And yeah, like we talked about earlier, the insight and our ability to visualize things and picture things and have a clear idea of the future and things like that. So yeah, just love how all this stuff can be connected, and we can utilize these certain tools to actually facilitate this process and clear things up and really get there faster. And I think that's why, yeah, I like the name of your products, how they emphasize the accelerated, it's like, let's speed this process up and
right. What are we waiting for?
That's a good question.
Well, thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. This has been great. And once again, go check out the website, acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Reach out to Sarah, let her know you heard her on the podcast, or if you have any questions or anything specific that you're dealing with, or questions you have about diet, these products, keto living, different experiences like that. I'm sure she'll be happy to give you a helping hand. So thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you, Nathan. Have a good one.